If you're just starting out a playthrough on Pokémon Crystal and you're looking to get all 3 starters, but you're having a hard time deciding which one you want, don't worry. You can actually get all 3 right at the beginning of your game. In this video, I'm going to show you a very simple method that will allow you to get Chikorita, Cyndaquil, and Totodile all right at the start of your adventure. Now, this process, while I'm doing it for Pokémon Crystal, will also work in Pokémon Gold and Silver as well, and you can also use it at any point in the game if you want to clone any Pokemon you want, and items too. So later on down the road, if you want more than one Master Ball, you can follow these simple steps in order to get multiple. Same thing with your candies, nuggets, you name it. Now, I'm going to be skipping around a little bit to try and trim the video down to a reasonable length, but there will be chapters down in the slider that you can take a look at if you want to skip ahead. I do recommend taking a look at the video in its entirety, though, before you try to do a step-by-step follow along, because otherwise you might miss some important steps. So, you know, go ahead and give it a watch first before you start doing it yourself. That being said, we are starting a brand new game. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to do a bunch of like setup stuff, right? You're going to choose your gender, you're going to choose the date and time and all that stuff. Go ahead and do that, choose whatever you want, and then get to the point where you can leave your bedroom, and I will see you in just a moment. Once you've chosen your preferences and left your bedroom, you'll go ahead and try and leave. Your mom will stop you. She'll give you your Poke Gear. She'll ask you if you know how to use the phone. Regardless of your choice, she'll tell you how to use it anyway. You can go ahead and leave once that's done, and then head over to Professor Elm's lab, but do not go inside. I'm going to go ahead and save it outside the lab. You don't have to save it right on this exact spot, but for the sake of time, I'm going to save it right here, and I suggest you do the same. Okay. Once you take one more step forward through the door, you're going to go right up and talk to Professor Elm, where he's going to tell you about a little quest he's going to have you go on, and you're going to pick your first starter. So go ahead and do that next. Once the conversation wraps up with Professor Elm, you are given the choice of one of 3 available starters. Now, before you make your choice, there's something important that you should know. Our process is going to require us to pick one first, go about our journey, do some things. We're going to go see Mr. Pokemon, then we're going to come back, and then we're going to reset, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to do a second one, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to pick the third one. So we are going to go through essentially 3 individual choices. Only the third and final Pokemon that you choose will have a Pokedex entry. The first 2 will not. Now, don't fear, because while we're going to end up with all 3 in the end anyway, you can take the 2 that don't have Pokedex entries to the daycare couple, get eggs, hatch them, and then get entries that way for the 2 Pokemon that does not have Pokedex entries at that time. This won't screw anything else up. It doesn't break anything. You don't have to worry about it. That's just a side effect from our process that 2 of the 3, the first 2 that we choose, will not have Pokedex entries, but you can get them in the end anyway, so don't worry about it. Go ahead and pick your first choice, and then you'll be prompted to speak to Professor Elm. He'll do a thing, and I'll meet you outside the lab in just a moment. Upon leaving the lab, you should have been given a potion from one of Professor Elm's aides. With that, you are now ready to go head north of Cherrygrove to see Mr. Pokemon about his new discovery. Now, on the way there, it's up to you whether or not you want to do some grinding with your Pokemon and do wild battles. It's totally okay. You've got that potion to heal you if you take any damage. That's fine. Do whatever you want to do. Level up, but don't level up too much, because we don't want to outclass the wild Pokemon in the area, because we're going to need them for a step later on down the line. But for now, go ahead and head west or to the left to Cherrygrove, and then from there go north or up to Mr. Pokemon's house, and I will see you there in just a moment. Once you arrive at Mr. Pokemon's house, just go right on inside. He'll immediately engage you in conversation and give you the mystery egg. You'll talk to both him here as well as Professor Oak before you head back to see Professor Elm back in New Bark. Once you leave Mr. Pokemon's house, you'll get a phone call from Professor Elm, who in a panic tells you that disaster has struck. Someone has seemingly robbed him of one of his prized Pokemon starters, and you're about to engage that Pokemon and the trainer who stole it in battle, your first official trainer battle, right when you're getting ready to leave Cherrygrove, so be prepared for that fight. Once you make your way through Cherrygrove, be prepared. You're about to engage in your first trainer battle. You're going to fight your rival. The outcome of the battle doesn't really matter for what we're doing, so if you want to throw it, that's fine. If you want to win it, I understand. But get through that and head back to Professor Elm. Back in New Bark, just head right into the research lab and go see Professor Elm and the investigating officer here and tell them the name of your rival. Talk to them, do your thing, and then once this is all done, you'll talk to Professor Elm separately. Once that's done, just go ahead and leave. You'll be stopped by one of Professor Elm's aides who will give you 5 Pokeballs, which is key. We need all 5 of those Pokeballs. So go ahead and name your rival whatever you want, and then move on and head towards the exit to get your Pokeballs. Next, go see your mom. You'll find her in the kitchen. She'll talk to you about saving your money. You can go ahead and choose to do it if you want, but there's no real reason to do that because we saved earlier before we did all this stuff, and we're going to go back to that save point eventually, so really it doesn't matter. There's no reason to even say yes, but, you know, choice is yours. After speaking to your mom, you're going to head to the west or to the left here to Route 29. You're going to be stopped by the guy standing right outside on the route. He's going to ask you if you want to be shown how to catch Pokemon. You're going to say no. You already know how to do that, presumably, and that's what we're going to do next. With the 5 Pokeballs you were given by Elm's aid, you are going to give 1 to your starter to hold. With the remaining 4, you're going to use those to catch any random Pokemon here in the grass. It doesn't matter what grass patch, it doesn't matter what Pokemon, it doesn't matter what level. Just catch a Pokemon. That Pokemon that we catch is going to be sacrificed so that Chikorita, for me, or whatever starter that you chose, is going to carry over through our process. So this Pokemon is going to disappear into the ether, never to be seen again. Okay, very important that you note that. So don't expect to see the Pokemon you're going to catch in the future because it's gone forever. Go ahead and walk around the grass and catch a Pokemon. I just encountered a wild Hoot and I captured that. This Hoot is going to be lost to me forever. We're going to sacrifice it for the greater good. After you've made your capture, head back to Cherrygrove and go into the Pokemon Center. We're going to go right to the box, and this is how the process is going to start. You're going to deposit your starter. In this case, for me, it's Chikorita. For you, it's going to be whatever one you chose. Okay, Chikorita is holding a Pokeball. We are going to deposit our Pokemon, and we're going to keep out Hoot. So this is how it's going to work. We are going to back out, and we are going to change the box. When we change the box, we're going to go from 1 into 2. In doing so, it's going to ask us if we want to save the game. Now, here's the trick. This process is going to require us to restart the game at a very crucial and specific point. When it's saving, right in the middle of the save, we're going to do a reset. What that's going to do is it's going to save whatever we have in the box, but it's not going to save our game progress. So when we do the reset, we are going to load right back to our original save point, which was just in front of Professor Elm's lab. That means that we haven't visited Mr. Pokemon yet, we haven't picked a starter yet, we haven't done anything, because that's where we saved it. Once we get to that point, our Chikorita, or whatever starter for you, Chikorita for me, whatever starter you chose, is going to be waiting for you at the box holding a Pokeball. So you'll restart right at a specific point that I'm about to show you. You'll be in front of Professor Elm's lab, and you'll pick starter number 2, but we'll worry about that in a minute. So as it's telling me here, we're going to go ahead and save it. Okay, it's going to say yes, and I'm going to show you the exact point in which you need to do your restart. Okay, there is already a save file. Is it okay to save? Yes, we're going to say yes. Right here, this is the exact specific spot. So right now it's saving. Don't turn off the, okay? You want to make sure that you restart the game right here in between the O of the word off and the H in the word the, which is perfect. You don't even see the H. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to reset. Once we go in here, we're going to hit continue. We have no badges. We've got nothing. We'll be right here in front of Professor Elm's lab, right where we initially saved before. Now from here, all we're going to do is we're going to follow everything that we did before all the way up until we get to Cherrygrove. We do not need to go see Mr. Pokemon yet. The reason why we wanted to go see Mr. Pokemon in the first place is because we had to follow that chain of events before we could eventually come back to Professor Elm and deliver the mystery egg and talk to him about the thief who's standing outside the window right now. And then when you leave, you get the Pokeballs. There's no way for you to get Pokeballs right now in the game legitimately, aside from the method that I just showed you. Because we put Chikorita in the box, or whatever starter, holding a Pokeball, there is not only a starter waiting in the PC for us, but also a Pokeball. We are going to follow the same process all the way up until we can retrieve them. And then from there, that's where we're going to start the process over again and skip all the Mr. Pokemon stuff. So it'll be a big time saver. So you're going to go ahead and don't save, don't do anything. Just go inside and talk to Professor Elm just like you did before. After speaking to Professor Elm all over again, he's going to tell you to pick a new starter. You're going to pick the second of the 3. So we got Chikorita the first time for me. The next one we're going to go ahead and grab for me is Totodile. The order might be different for you. You don't need to pick Chikorita or Totodile the same order I did. You can pick whatever ones you want. The only impact, the final choice that you're going to make, so the final one for me is going to be Cyndaquil, is that's going to be the only one that has a Pokedex entry for me in my game until I do some sort of breeding in order to hatch eggs and get their initial base form Pokedex entries. I'm going to grab Totodile, and we're good to go. So he's going to have his little conversation with us and everything, and then we can leave and head back to Cherrygrove, which is really all we need to do. We don't have to go any farther. We're going to go right back to Cherrygrove, and we are going to retrieve our first starter for me, which was Chikorita, and get that Pokeball. And we're going to use it to catch another Pokemon and rinse and repeat the process, so that way we can get our third and final starter, and there you go. So for now, we're going to go ahead and just listen to what he has to say, and then we're going to leave and head back to Cherrygrove. Once you arrive in Cherrygrove City, just head right into the Pokemon Center. With your second starter in your party, you should find your first one tucked away nice and neat and safely in the box holding the Pokeball that we made it hold. So we are going to go ahead and take a look. There it is. We're going to go ahead and grab this guy. Okay. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the Pokeball from it and we're going to go catch another wild Pokemon. Remember, at this point, Pokeballs are not available at the Pokemart. You would have to go through the whole situation with Mr. Pokemon and then back to Professor Elm in order for his aide to give you 5 more Pokeballs. You can do that if you want the extra Pokeballs if you need them, but you should only need just the one. The Pokemon are so weak around here, it should be fairly easy to obtain some random Pokemon at a low enough level that can be captured with just one Pokeball. So collect that Pokeball, and then go ahead and use it on whatever Pokemon that you want out here in the wild as long as you can catch it. We're going to go ahead and go to the item. We're going to take that. There we go. All right, let's pop in the wild and catch Pokemon. All right, once you've captured your Pokemon, you are good to go. You should have 3 now. We're going to go ahead and take our 2 existing starters and we're going to put them in the box. The reason being is we need to have 1 Pokemon on our team at all times, obviously. So we are going to go ahead and put in our Chikorita and Totodile so that we can go and grab Cyndaquil. Again, your order might be different and that's totally fine. No worries, you can go ahead and just do it however you want, whatever order, that is up to you. So we're going to go ahead and deposit Totodile. I think he's still holding a berry. We're going to deposit Chikorita, and there we go. And then we're going to go ahead and change the box. Now, remember what I told you. We're going to go from box 1 to box 2. So we're going to go ahead and say box 2, and we're going to switch. It's going to ask us if we want to go ahead and save it. So we're going to go ahead and say yes. There is already a save file. Is it okay to overwrite? We're going to go ahead and say yes. And then we want to do a reset right here. This is perfect timing. Saving, don't turn off the. Just like I said, between the O and the T of these 2 words, off and the, between right in there is a good sweet spot. So we're going to go ahead and reset, and we're going to go back and get the third and final remaining starter, which for me will be Cyndaquil. So we're going to go ahead and do continue. Okay, no Pokemon. And then we're going to go ahead and walk right inside and talk to Professor Elm again. And then he's going to tell us to pick a starter, and we're going to grab the last one. Remember, we've already got Chikorita and Totodile, so we're going to go ahead and grab our third and final starter, which is Cyndaquil. That means that our rival is going to end up with a Totodile himself, and you'll have to battle him later, because remember, we're now starting all over with a couple of Pokemon tucked away in the box, which means after we do all our talking, we can head back to Cherrygrove, go to the PC, and we'll have 2 Pokemon waiting for us to complete our trio. And our rival will only have the 1. From there, you're going to go ahead and just continue the game like normal. Pretend it like you just started, and you're right here picking up your first starter. You're going to go see Mr. Pokemon. You're going to talk to Professor Oak all over again. You're going to get the mystery egg, and then you'll come back and see Professor Elm, who will tell you that one of his prized Pokemon have been taken. So that should be it. I'll see you in Cherrygrove, where we will run into the last of our starter trio. With the process complete and our third starter with us, we should find 2 starters in the box here of the PC in the Pokemon Center of Cherrygrove. We're going to walk right up here, and we should complete our team. And there we go. We have our Totodile, we have our Chikorita, and of course, we have our Cyndaquil that we grabbed, and we have all 3 starters now, and there you go. You should have them as well. It's a simple process. There's a couple of different methods that you can follow to do this, but hopefully you found this one very useful. You have all 3 starters now to accompany you on your journey, and 3 early elemental types that should be very useful in taking on any trainers that get in your way as well. But keep in mind this process, just as a recap on it, it does work on Virtual Console. It works on the original cartridges, and it works on emulation as well. In addition to that, it also works on all the core Gen 2 games, so the original Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and you can do this process anytime you want to duplicate items and Pokemon. If you want to get a bunch of Eevees without breeding, this is the way to do it. If you want to have a whole fleet of legendary Pokemon, you can do that too. If you want to clone Pokemon for the purpose of them holding items that you want multiple of, rare candies, nuggets, master balls, you name it, you can do it. It's a very useful process that you can do at any time as long as you have access to the box. and you can get what you want from it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this episode of our playthrough of Pokemon Crystal and this how-to instructional video regarding how to obtain all 3 starters early on in the game like this. But if you enjoyed the video, you can show your love, hit the like button. Do not forget to subscribe. Any feedback for me, leave in the comments section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, don't forget to take a look at the description box. There's some links that might be of interest to you, one of which is a link to the Marcanine community Discord server. If you want to join that community, you can chat with me directly. Otherwise, just know that I appreciate you and your time, and hope to see you when we continue with our standard playthrough of Pokemon Crystal right here on the Marcanine channel. New episodes debut daily at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. Take care, be well, and hope to see you around. Later.